Hi, I'm Nanci, an elder of the Strangers Gate Coven of the Temple of the Spiral Path. Temple members have been practicing the eclectic shadowfolk tradition of witchcraft since 1996, but I've been a bit of a kitchen witch since well before that. I'm looking forward to sharing with you how to bake orange cranberry scones. Yule, also known as the winter solstice, is the longest night of the year. Ancient folk would hunker down for the winter, possibly snowed in with their tribe or community, sharing stories and dwindling supplies as the sunlight waned and the evenings stretched on. Nowadays, some pagans and Wiccans may choose to stay up all night to welcome the solstice sun at dawn, much as our ancestors may have done after being cooped up all winter. It's a time to celebrate that the sun is growing again, bringing with it the joyful warmth of the coming seasons. I chose this recipe because the brightness of the oranges and their citrus zing make me think of the sun, and the red of the cranberries is Yule appropriate too. Also, this is a very easy recipe to make, using no noisy mixers or other appliances, so you can make it during your sunrise vigil and not wake up anybody else in your household, and welcome them in the morning with a delicious breakfast. Here's what you'll need to make these yummy scones. I always prefer to use organic ingredients whenever possible, as they're kinder to Mother Earth and our bodies, but they are pricier and not always as available as other stuff. When I'm baking for magical purposes, I like to gather my ingredients and then thank the powers that be for providing them, and ask them to bless my efforts as I bake in their honor. All-purpose flour works best. If you're gluten sensitive or vegan, I'm sure you can use substitutes for some of the ingredients according to your dietary needs. I like to use local honey instead of some of the sugar because honey is a natural preservative and full of healthy minerals, but you're welcome to use the sweeteners of your choice. If you use only liquid forms such as honey or syrup, you'll want to add an extra teaspoon of baking soda and reduce the orange juice by a tablespoon. Whenever I buy organic oranges, I scrape the outside on a fine grater and save the zest in a container in my freezer so I always have some for baking. Turn on your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. In a small bowl, combine the cranberries, orange juice, half and half, and the egg. And then set this bowl aside. In a larger bowl, combine the flour, sugar, two tablespoons of the honey, the orange peel, the baking powder, baking soda, and salt. The way you do that is you put your cold butter into the flour mixture, and literally use your knives to cut the butter into the flour. you want to cut the butter in until the bits of butter are about the size of kidney beans. That way your scones will be a little airier once they bake. Once you are done mixing those ingredients, mix in the orange cranberry mixture into the dry ingredients until it's moistened. You don't want to overmix because that will break up the butter too much. Once your dough is moist, you will want to knead it for about 6 or 8 times. I always like to knead on my flexible cutting surface as it is less likely to stick, but you can use other flat surfaces, including tabletops, as long as they're smooth and cleaned well. You want to sprinkle some flour onto your surface and get some on your hands as well, and then dump the dough onto your surface. Try to get all of the dough from your bowl, obviously, so that you can make that many more scones. So, put a little extra flour on your hands and knead your dough, as I said, about 6 or 8 times. To make scones in the traditional shape, you can shape it into about an 8-inch circle. And then cut it into 10 wedges. Or you can use a biscuit cutter to cut rounds, or you can form them with your hands to make little suns. Make triangles. Simply cut them as large as you want. And then diagonals. So, place your cut pieces on an ungreased baking sheet with at least an inch between each piece. I have non-stick silicone sheets that I use all the time, which I hand wash after each baking session once they've cooled down, but non-stick baking sheets are also useful. In a small dish or cup, thoroughly mix the milk with a tablespoon of honey. I like to use my fingers because I can add blessings to it as I mix it, as I blend, to make a harmonious whole. Then you want to use either a pastry brush or your fingers to coat each scone on the sides and the top with your sweetened milk mixture. This will help to add a little bit of extra sweetness and shine and give it a nice texture on the outside. Once you have coated each of your scones, if you have a little bit of extra honey milk, you can just sprinkle a little bit on the top. And carefully put your trays into your oven and bake them for about 10 to 15 minutes until the tops and bottoms are just starting to brown. When the scones are properly baked, turn off the oven and use oven mitts to take out the baking trays and use a spatula to move the scones onto wire racks to cool. These scones can be eaten plain, or you can slather them with butter or jams or jellies if you wish. I hope you enjoy baking, eating, and sharing these easy, tasty treats. May you have a cozy winter solstice and blessed Yule.